Hello and welcome to Tea Talks. My name is Sid and I am the creator of Roots Holistic, which is a lifestyle brand promoting mindful living. And Tea Talks is an intentional space for conversation around mindful living, healing, and liberation. And today we are in the kitchen and I wanted to show you how to brew loose leaf tea. So a facet of Roots Holistic is Roots Tea Blends, and I created Roots Tea Blends to teach people about how tea can be this grounding tool to bring us back to the present moment. And so today I just wanted to talk to you all about how I go about making loose leaf tea. When I started drinking tea with my grandmother when I was younger, we would use tea bags. We would microwave a cup of water in the microwave and then plop the tea bag in there, and that was it, and it was wonderful. Now, as I got older and started to learn more about tea, I learned that these tea bags, they really have very finely chopped up tea leaves or herbs, which really limits the benefit that you can get out of your tea. And so I love loose leaf tea because you're getting more of the full leaves and the full herbs and flowers. And so that's going to give you bolder flavor, and it's going to give you more of the medicinal benefits of those teas and herbs. Let's go over what we might need. Starting off with the tea. Today we're going to be brewing one of Roots Tea Blends, Open Heart. It's one of my favorites. It has lavender, rose, black tea, and rooibos tea. You're also going to need a vessel that you're going to brew tea out of. Today I'm going to be using a teapot. You can also use a cup if that works for you. You'll need something to steep with. One of my favorites is using a mesh strainer like this. You can also use tea sachets that are going to look like your tea bag, but you actually fill it yourself. And then a teacup, a spoon to stir with, a teaspoon, honey, if you like a little bit of sweetness, and a tea timer or your phone. Now, if you're looking to do a single serving, an 8-ounce cup of tea, you'll probably use 1 to 2 teaspoons of tea. If you have a pot like I do, and I will drink a whole pot of tea myself, but a pot is also really nice to share with friends, you'll use 2 to 3 teaspoons and maybe even 4. So you'll use a little bit more for your pot than you do for your 8-ounce cup. One thing to remember when you are using your loose leaf tea is you want to make sure that the blend, if it's a blend, is shaken up because there's lots of different contents in here, and you want to make sure that you're getting all of those for your cup or for your pot. So I'm going to use about 3 heapings. And then once you have your pot or your cup all ready, you're gonna boil some water. You can use the stove, you can use the microwave. My preference right now is an electronic tea kettle. So you just flip that switch, and we wanna brew our tea at a water that is boiling, okay? So while we're waiting for that tea to boil, we're going to talk a little bit about steep times because they differ. And before we even talk about that, we have to talk about the difference between tea and herbs. So tea is from a specific plant, the Camellia sinensis plant. That means your black tea, your oolong tea, your green tea, your white tea, all of that is coming from the same plant. The difference is once it's harvested and the oxidation process of those different teas, along with the location from which the tea is from. The Camellia sinensis plant, it does burn in hot water, which is why your thyme is important to pay attention to. It's important to be mindful of. With herbs, you have a little bit more liberty. You're not necessarily going to burn the herbs if they stay in the water over the certain amount of time. If you've had a bitter cup of tea or a cup of tea that did not taste great, most likely it was burned, okay? And so today, the base of the tea that we're using, the Open Heart, is black tea. And for black tea, you want to steep that around 3 to 5 minutes and let that 5-minute be a hard cut. If you're brewing green tea, I like to brew that around 3 minutes, so a little bit less. And if I'm brewing an herbal blend, really, so no tea is involved, I will steep that for 5 or maybe even a little bit longer if I'm really trying to get a strong brew out of it. So let me get some of this water. And you want to make sure that the water covers the contents of the tea. And then once you have the water in there, if you have your pot, you're going to cap it off so that it has all of that steam to steep. And then you want to start your timer. So I'm using a little timer here. All right. And now we wait. So I like to take this opportunity to make it a mindful moment. That's a new practice for me because sometimes I think 5 minutes and I'm like, oh, I can get something else done in between the time that I'm steeping my tea. And more often than not, I forget about it and I end up burning my tea. So I'm getting into the practice of staying here, staying present with my tea and really using it as an opportunity to check in. So just noticing how my body is feeling, maybe noticing where my thoughts have been throughout the day, feeling my feet on the floor and finding my breath. And if you practice this mindfulness practice while the tea is brewing, then you will be right on time for that timer, that 5-minute mark or that 3-minute mark, so that you're ready to remove the tea from the water. Very important. So we don't want to leave the basket in the water because that is how you will get your burned tea. And then we'll move on to kind of our final steps. Again, if you like to add a little bit of sweetness, I sometimes when I just am craving that sweet, a little bit of honey in a tea is perfect for me. And you really don't want a lot. We're not trying to make the tea sweet. We're really trying to add just a little bit of sweetness to enhance the flavors of the tea. So we'll go ahead and get a little bit of that honey in the cup. I like to put it in before the water, and that way the water helps to break down the honey. It's easy to stir up. And then we will mindfully pour this hot tea into your cup. Then we stir it up. And there you have it. How to brew loose leaf tea. Thank you so much for joining me for this tea talk. I hope that you found it informational. As always, tea talks are going to be released on Fridays. And if you found this video helpful, please subscribe to our channel. And until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and be well.